So Fast 10 is dropping this week, finally, and most of you have seen the official premiere. The official world premiere was held in Rome, Italy. That was a promise from Vin Diesel many months ago. And by coincidence, I just happened to be in Europe doing Fast and Furious stuff myself. So today, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the movie's plot and share some of the reviews from audiences and movie critics. But first, a word from my sponsor, who made this episode possible. Have you ever Googled your name? If you have, you were probably shocked to see some of your personal information floating around for the whole world to see. Every once in a while, I Google myself just for fun. I'm always surprised what kind of things are floating around the internet. It's just creepy that these companies have this information on me. So this is what they do. These data brokers are making money hand over fist by selling your info to robocallers, spammers, and in some cases, much worse. This is why I'm talking about today's sponsor, Aura. Aura can identify data brokers who are exposing your information and then submit opt-out requests on your behalf. Brokers are legally required to remove your info if you ask them to, but they make it super hard to do that. So let Aura handle all of it for you. Now you can get off of all of those lists. You can try Aura free for 2 weeks using my link here below, aura.com/Craig. Aura does so much more to protect you and your family from online threats that you can't even see. It's really easy to set up, so you don't have to bother downloading several different apps just to get things like parental controls, antivirus, VPN, password management, identity theft, insurance, and even more. You get everything at one affordable price. So let Aura do all the hard work of keeping you safe online so you can focus on other tasks with peace of mind. Okay, let's get into it. You probably noticed that the trailers that they've been showing for the past few weeks showed lots of footage of previous movies, and that's because what happened in the earlier movie is important to what happens in this movie. Basically, the past of Toretto's family has come back to haunt them. So without spoiling the whole movie, I'll just spoil most of it. So I'm going to go over the main plot. The opening scene is at Dodger Stadium. Oh, kind of gives you hope. Toretto is there with his Dodge Charger, seemingly the one from the first movie, but it wasn't, whatever. He is there with his son, and there's some dialogue with the son, who looks to be about 8 to 10 years old. The conversation is mostly reflecting on the past and wondering about the future. From there, they cut to a flashback 10 years earlier, back to Brazil, when the Toretto clan pulled off the bank vault heist, and we flash to the scene where the vault is dragged over the bridge and then into the water. Using CGI, Universal reuses that scene and puts Jason Momoa into one of the cars that flies off the bridge and winds up in the water. It's Jason Momoa who plays Dante Reyes, one of the sons of Hernan Reyes, the villain of Fast 5. Remember that? I didn't. And you can guess what happens next. It's going to be a revenge movie. Wow, what a surprise. The movie then moves back to the present day, back to the Toretto house for another backyard barbecue. Tej, Roman, Mia, and a new character, a grandmother played by Rita Moreno, is there. Glad to see that the invisible grandmother survived the house being blown up back in Fast 7. I guess she never came out of her room ever, not since 2001. Again though, for all the talk of Vin Diesel about these movies being all about family, Dominic Toretto on screen was estranged from his brother for more than a decade. What was it, 15 years or something crazy like that? He had a grandmother that has never been mentioned, shown, or even hinted about. And then the biggest thing, Brian, the husband of his sister, hasn't been mentioned in any significant or meaningful way in the last 2 movies. Universal doesn't know what to do about it. They don't know what they're going to do with this character. Not even an explanation why Mia is at the Toretto house without Brian. What does Brian do now? Is he daddy daycare? Is he working at Racer's Edge still? We don't know. But you can bet that Universal will continue to tease a possible appearance from Brian, Paul Walker, in the next couple of movies. I'll get to that later, but don't hold your breath that it's going to happen in Fast 10, because other than some flashbacks and some CG using the brother, there's no real-time appearance of any significance. So why they could have used Cody to do something, I don't know why they didn't do it, because I think they don't have a story for him. So then next, Dom wanders into his garage where we expect to see the Charger, because he was in it in the 5 minutes before in the movie. Nope, it's a gray Chevelle, which makes no sense. So while talking to Han, Dom suggests that maybe Han should go off and live his life. Dom seems to sense that the family's luck is about to run out, and that's his way of saying, get out of here before it gets ugly. So Roman starts talking about offers and heists working with Tej and one of the female characters. So Roman, Tej, and Han apparently accept one of the offers that they've received, and this sends them on a side adventure into one of many side stories that will probably confuse audiences. So they take off to go do a heist in a foreign country. It's not announced right away. After that, fade to nighttime, an electric DeLorean pulls up to the Toretto house. It's Cypher, played by Charlize Theron. She basically says that Dom and Cypher now have the same enemy, which sets up the main plot. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? Cypher then tells Toretto that his family is being hunted by none other than Dante Reyes, and he wants to kill every one of his family members. The funny thing is that the Torettos have lived in that same house for 21 years, so I feel like everybody has the address to that place. I'm trying to figure out, after all this heist that they've done, why are they still living in a 100-year-old house with all the money they've made? Why aren't they on a beach somewhere? Just little things that don't make sense, and you sit there going, So now with Dante Reyes now hunting the Toretto family, Dom and Letty realize they have to save Han, Tej, and Roman because they didn't know anything about Dante Reyes. So they all head off to Italy, where Han, Tej, and Roman have taken a job. They are hijacking a truck, and they think it's full of loot, but it's not. In fact, it's full of explosives. Reyes takes remote control of the truck that Han, Tej, and Roman are in for the heist, and instead of the loot again, there's a bomb, and so he wants to blow it up. So Dominic Toretto gets there just in time. This time, Dom and Letty stop the truck, but the big giant ball that holds the bomb is heading down the street, and it's headed for the Vatican. Okay, Dominic Toretto is now going to save the Pope. Pass it around. Dom chases the bomb. He hits the nitrous, of course, but he's not catching up fast enough. So he sees a giant crane and a trampoline, and mathematically works out the physics so that he can steer into the trampoline, which he's calculated will allow him to swing the crane around, deflect the ball, which is carrying a bomb, into a pond. And of course, there's not a scratch on the car that Dominic is driving, and he escapes. He should be working at MIT. Letty, however, is caught by the Italian Special Forces. I can't even imagine what that looks like. And she's thrown in jail. Dom goes into hiding while Tej, Roman, and Han are now on the run because they know now that Dante Reyes is chasing after them too. They're part of their family. Enter Brie Larson, the daughter of Mr. Nobody, and some bodybuilder looking guy, and they're standing around in a situation room. Brie takes over the briefing from her father as they go over the reasons that they need to continue to pursue Dominic Toretto and his family. The bodybuilder guy starts arguing that Dom should be arrested. He should not get away with these things. And the boss goes through all the Dom's crimes, things like hijacking trucks full of DVD players and VHS players, the theft of a submarine, wow, the car going into space. Oh man. Yeah, that's a hell of a rap sheet. Now Brie again, who plays Tess, listens to them say, no, we're not going to arrest them. They're not going to kill them. I'm going to do it my way, and off she goes. So what does that mean? Now the police are looking out for her, and then the bad guys are looking out for her. So we flash back to Mia Babies sitting Dom's son back at the Toretto house. Somebody knocks on the door, throws a smoke bomb into the house, and a SWAT team rains the house and chases Dom's kid upstairs. They kick down the door, and for just a second, the suspense suggests that we're going to see Brian. But nope, cue the John Cena music. John Cena, who is now apparently the babysitter, who we know is the brother of Dominic Toretto, and he's been reincorporated into the family. Where the is Brian? Where? Oh God, what are you doing again? After this scene, Mia is not shown again, and the rest of the movie is about a game of cat and mouse with Dante Reyes, right? So they're trying to run away, the kid gets caught, kidnapped, and so forth and everything. I don't fill in all the plot holes. I won't reveal much more than to say that you need to remember that Fast 10 was set to be a two-part party. That means it ends on a cliffhanger. In this case, the cliffhanger is Han, Tej, and Roman go down in a plane crash. Will they survive? Well, I wouldn't be very worried because no one dies in this franchise. However, John Cena ends up dead in a pretty convincing way, so I'm not sure he'll be coming back in the next movie or the one after that unless he pisses off Vin Diesel offset. But the rest of this movie is, some more ridiculousness. These movies basically have now turned themselves into telenovelas, and I'm not the first person to notice this. Movie critics are saying the same basic things. If you like the first three movies, you probably will not like this movie as much as the first three. If you like the movies after Tokyo Drift, you're going to love this movie. There's some great action without too much over-the-top physics. Some of them are kind of borderline, but not going into space and anything. And while it still isn't really a car movie, but there's enough cool cars to get your attention. Dennis McCarthy, the picture car captain, has made sure of that. There's a Nissan Silvia, there's a Porsche 911 GT3, there's an Alfa Romeo 159 police car, an old school Chevrolet El Camino, an old Ford Fairlane and Lamborghini Gallardo, an old school Datsun 240Z S30, a 66 Chevy Impala, a late model Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat Red Eye wide body, and an electric DeLorean, and an 1180 horsepower aerial hypercar, which I mentioned in another video a couple of months ago. Anyway, by the time this video goes live, most of the fans will have seen the movie, so I don't think I'm going to be spoiling anything. So let's talk about the reviews for a moment. The early reviews from professional movie critics have been mixed. Some say Jason Momoa steals the show. Others are saying that this movie is over the top, ridiculous, as if what was the quote? Written by sixth graders, I think it was. One other critic said that this is the worst movie in the franchise. He clearly hasn't seen Fast 9. But the other quotes include things like, the franchise seems to have run out of gas. I have to be fair here. None of these critics are 24-year-old males who have grown up with the franchise, right? This movie is aimed at the 14 to 30-year-old males, predominantly Hispanics, and that's been published since Fast 5. But me, having traveled through Europe and appearing at car shows and talking to people who are really into cars, the Fast movies have seemed to have transcended that target audience. People in Europe are super fans. They live it, they love it, they worship it. Mostly the first three movies for sure, but most of the people tell me they are going to every movie, even the ones after Tokyo Drift. In fact, I just came back from Race Wars in Belgium last week, which was coincidentally timed around the world movie premiere, which was going on in Rome, Italy. Last October, I was in Holland at another car show. The fans there were about from 8 years old to about 45 years old. They're all very loyal. I asked many people of all ages to see if they were going to go see the new movie. Most said yes. A few complained that it's not enough about cars, so you can always imagine that. And while in Belgium this time, I was once again reunited with my former movie super. In fact, the current owner, Arian, drove me to his super secret warehouse to see his collection of actual screen-used movie cars. These are not replicas. They're not built from scratch. He has my former Hero 1 Supra, the orange one. He has the Jump Supra from Too Fast, Too Furious, which was also used in the first movie. He has a Suzuki S2000, which was also used in the first one as a Johnny Trans S2000. He has a Jesse's Jetta. He has one of the original 3 Dodge Chargers that we used in the first movie. Not a replica, not a crash restored, an original car. Let me think. He has a green Eclipse, from one of the green Eclipses from the first movie. He has a red RX-7 that was used in the first movie. And that guy's about my age, so this guy's a super fan. If he didn't like the movies, I mean, he would have just dumped the cars, right? And also, coincidentally, this was the weekend that Bonhams was auctioning off the Fast 4 Skyline GTR. Yes, it is a real GTR. A few weeks ago, I predicted that this car would sell for somewhere between 1.2 million to about 1.5 million. My friend Gabriel down in Florida, who collects Fast and Furious cars, he had the same numbers in mind, so we were both in agreement on that. The car ended up right in that range. It went for $1,170,000 plus 15% auction fees, comes out to 1.35 million. So thanks to my friend Arian, I got to see the GTR in person. It was stored in a private warehouse in a very secret location. The car was in remarkable shape, hardly anywhere or tear, and about 20,000 kilometers on the odometer. But just sitting in that car, it's a piece of history. Paul Walker's butt was sitting there, right? Word is that this car is going to the Middle East, perhaps to Dubai, if the rumors are true, which means most Americans will never see that car again, and very few Europeans will ever see that car. So that's a tragedy, but it is what it is. So for me, the last 2 weeks have been all about Fast and Furious news, and I didn't even mention the Mecum auction that's coming up this weekend with another RX-7 that was used in Fast and Furious 1 and Fast and Furious 2. What was really amazing to me while I was on the road visiting Belgium, Holland, and France is how much interest there is in the Fast movies still 20 years later. Looking at the social media of my friends and colleagues, I was happy to see how many people who have been building replicas as a worship to the Fast and Furious franchise to become part of the stories, because many replica builders were invited to bring their show cars, their replica builds, into movie theaters or in front of movie theaters or even at Universal offices around the world. And now they're not just outsiders, now they're insiders. These people are part of the Fast world. And a lot of people spend tens of thousands of doing that. We have a big replica group here in Southern California, people in France, people in Belgium, Netherlands, Germany, Norway, Sweden, Italy. I'm sure I'm missing other countries, Brazil, Japan, Australia. It's a cult now. And we know Fast 10 is a cliffhanger, and then Fast 11 is slated for a release in April 2025. But with a new twist this week, Universal and Vin Diesel are now talking about making Fast 10 a part of a trilogy. In other words, there might be a 12th movie. I wonder what's going to die out first, me or the franchise. Anyway, everybody's having a good ride, and I wish Universal continued success. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you another time.